Hello, everybody on LinkedIn and YouTube. This is Freeformers Unplugged. We're trying something different today, so the tech might not work. It has failed us for the past 15 minutes, and we're trying it now. But we are live streaming in what we believe to be a HR world first from Whipsnade Zoo. If you are joining us, drop us a comment to let us know where you're joining us from. Emily, how you doing?
Good, I'm really good. Had a really great day here, and now the sun's come out, which is even nicer. But it's nice to be doing one of these things in person. But people are just going to see how small I am compared to
you. So we're not going to do a long live stream today, just because of the technology, and this is just a test. But maybe one of many on location live streams that we might do in the future. But we'll tell you why we've done a zookeeper experience today, because one of our clients we've done a zookeeper experience with. We'll tell you more about that another time. But we have uncovered this concept called, and I've forgotten what the concept's called.
Enrichment.
Enrichment. So if anybody out there has ever come across the term enrichment in terms of animal care, there's some really great learnings from it in terms of how we kind of look at human behavior in the workplace. So what is enrichment?
Enrichment is essentially what keepers do to keep animals entertained. So a lot of the animals, they are intelligent animals, intelligent species. We've worked with bears today, we've worked with monkeys, also elephants, and the rhino as well. And as they're very intelligent animals, they absolutely need to be kept entertained. So what the keepers do is essentially they hide their food and make them work to get it. So with the bears this morning, we were putting bear food inside wrapped up paper, covered in branches, and then stuffed in one of those like paper mache balloons that you make as a kid.
Yep.
And then lobbing them into the bear's enclosure so that they could like really, and smearing them in Marmite. I missed that bit out, so that they could then really dig down and be entertained, but enriched.
And I think that the awesome thing is like the live kind of test and iterate approach that they have to do that. Like what might work one day might not work another day, and it's giving you that kind of element of what do they try and create the human behavior? No, not the human behavior. They're trying to observe the behavior and replicate that through an enrichment.
Yeah, so basically they said that they do a lot of animal, so they have certain behaviors that they expect animals to be exhibiting. And if the animal isn't showing one of their behaviors that they should be, then they're like, okay, something, not something's wrong, but like we need to change something, because normally it's a sign of boredom, or they're just not having the opportunity to exhibit that behavior. So they're looking at all those behaviors and like, okay, so what enriching activity, or what kind of activity, because it can be more general than the intelligence related activities, what can we do to then draw out that behavior and demonstrate it so we can see it. So they're working with the behavior first, the goal first, my favorite thing, as everybody knows. What are we trying to achieve? We're trying to see this behavior to check that everything is okay with this animal, and that we're meeting their welfare that we need to. And then they get really creative and like, right, what kind of ways can we go about drawing this behavior out of this animal?
And like, what did we find out today? The bears might like Marmite. They've tested it. They kind of go, well, we think the bears like Marmite. One of them liked Marmite today, the rest of them not so much. But they take that insight and now will adapt the enrichment for tomorrow. And they're doing this every single morning with the bears, well, with every single animal. You heard that scream, but everyone seems okay. With every single animal every single morning. Yeah. And the zookeepers are giving that kind of care and attention to understand how do we try and you know, not just literally spoon feed people animals what they need.
I think that's exactly what the elephant keeper said. She said, we don't want it to be obvious for them. We don't want them to be able to just have their food and do it. We're not just giving it to them. We have to make them work for it, which I don't think is necessary. The work for it isn't the lesson to take, but things not necessarily being obvious and boring, and so therefore not in any way rewarding if we're taking lessons into the world of learning.
I think it's really interesting. So this is a really short live stream just to test the concept out if we can live stream out in the wilds, because as me and Emily do more stuff out and about, we want to live stream from the places we're at and the places we're hanging out. And like I say, this is Whipsnade Zoo. Beautiful. It was raining earlier. You wouldn't be able to tell now. But we're ever so thankful that we weren't here yesterday when it was kind of 31 degrees. At least we've got pleasant temperature, great people, and an incredible mission of what ZSL are actually doing. So we kind of found out more about why zoos still exist in the world, because it was a question that we had, and the client we were with today had, why do zoos exist in the world? That is a whole live stream in itself, but there's this whole ecosystem of how we look after the planet and the animals that are on it that requires zoos to exist, really.
Yeah, so basically Mark, who was our excellent tour guide today, zookeeper experience person, he's a zookeeper here for the big animals, the zebras, not zebras.
What do you call it? Large hooved animals?
Yeah, giraffes, elephants, rhinos, etc. And what he said is there's essentially three elements. There's the zoo, which is very much an education and awareness element. There's conservation. So there are people working in the countries where these animals are naturally to help them, live and work more in harmony with the animals there in their natural habitats. And then also there's the science, which kind of sits over and above all of that, how they can find out more about their animals. And he shared with us a really interesting example about the elephants. So they had a problem. He didn't tell us the country. In a country where you find elephants, that farmers, a herd of elephants, so 4 or 5 elephants, could wipe out a crop overnight. He said that's a farmer's livelihood gone, and then you're going to get either retaliatory measures, so maybe killings or something, or even preventative ones. Because you don't want to lose your whole livelihood, because that's starvation for you and your family, basically. And then from that, they took loads and loads and loads of photos, thermal imagery photos, throughout the whole, for a few weeks, of the elephants in the zoo, fed that into a camera. It's basically an intelligent system that could learn what an elephant is, which now provides real-time information of where elephants are based on cameras, so that the farmers and people in that community can take the preventative measures they need in a way that doesn't harm the elephants and stops them going near their crops. And so it's the elephants obviously will never know it, but the elephants themselves are the models, and they are saving the lives of people, maybe people and animals in the wild.
Hey, it's super interesting, the whole way the data flows, how that, it isn't just kept within this ecosystem of the zoo, it's fed out into conservation out in the wild, which is really, really important. And I think, just even if we weren't, obviously one of the things we're looking at is kind of human-centered design for employee experiences, but even just looking at the data aspect, which I know is your jam and my jam as well, but you're well more educated in that space than I am, is that ability to figure out what your data ecosystem looks like and how you're using that data as well. There's a wealth of information that is gathered here that is used across the world, which is it's just phenomenal. It really is. But I mean, like I said, that's the whole live stream in itself. But if there is one thing you take away from today's live stream, it is the concept of enrichment, which we talked about at the very beginning before we went on our What Zoos Do tangent. Ron, thank you for joining us, and Joe, you're on as well. We're destined to see each other at a zoo. Okay, I don't know.
So Joe did have first call with us at a zoo, remember?
Of course, I remember. Yes, ourselves and Joe are intrinsically linked by zoos. Ron has said we're out in the wild. Lovely pun, Ron. Thank you very much. And for everyone who's joined in for this very, very brief episode of Freeformers Unplugged, I think this will be the shortest episode ever, clocking in at about 5 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a test. If you like this content, just give us a comment and a reaction, because then it knows that we can do it out in the, as Ron says, out in the wild again at some point. But
hopefully next time the mics will work better.
Yeah, we are mic-less and internet-less at the moment, as we are truly out in the wild. So thank you for bearing with us. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next time on Freeformers Unplugged.